welcome to Let's Talk. I'm super excited to be here and the energy from this weekend. And I love to see where you all are coming from. I see so many different places, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about because we had launched something on Saturday that has really shifted the space of health and wellness. And I am super excited to bring Allison on, one of my partners, and she's got an amazing story because I actually met her in a corporate setting first, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But and now she's an amazing coach that I get to do life with every day. So I'm just really excited for you guys to hear from her tonight. But this Saturday we had launched an amazing, you guys, it was like from the east, the south, the north, the west, all the areas throughout the United States that people were gathering in communities everywhere. And we got to actually kick it off with Dr. A, which was super powerful because, his emotion and his mission and what he even said like 20 some years ago about getting the world healthy, honestly, has been the mission. And it's like that's what we're launching on Saturday and connecting with others and, talking about, they did a documentary in Health by Design, which you guys, it's out there on YouTube and your coaches have it, which you can listen to. It's amazing. And we're going to kind of touch base on that a little bit tonight too, Allison. The importance of metabolic health and why is this something we're super excited about? And why did people gather in these little towns all across the United States? Actually, from like Vermont to Maui is where people were gathering. And it's just been so fun to connect. We were even talking with our team, and one of the biggest takeaways was the community. And I just know 7 years ago, I fell in love with this community. And I was like, there's something different about this community. And we're going to talk.
Well, while we try to troubleshoot Amy, I will go ahead and jump in. Amy, I think the last thing that I heard you say was you were talking about how you fell in love with this community 7 years ago. And I think your story is so super powerful. So we want to make sure that we go ahead and share that. But one of the things I know that you and I had talked about was how important the four components of our program really are to setting people up for long-term success. So Amy and I are going to talk through that with you a little bit tonight. She already mentioned community. I had the opportunity to participate in a fantastic event in Salt Lake City. And so I'm excited to be with our community here online tonight. And it was a blessing to be with our community in Salt Lake on Friday and Saturday as we kicked off this Get America Healthy tour. We continued it, but this is really our 2026 kickoff. So, Amy, are you back with us?
I know. Can you guys hear me tonight?
I can hear you
Yes,
perfectly.
yes, they are here. Oh, look at the confetti's going. All right. I will take it back a little bit and just say how excited we are. I hope you saw my hand gestures, and I was super excited to kick off this call because we are talking about what was launched on Saturday and moving into, coaches from around the United States. I said from the east, the west, the north, and the south, they were meeting in community. And honestly, with this metabolic synchronization, it is a powerful tool that we have and we are sharing across the United States. And you guys are here and you're seeing it now too. And Dr. A, we got to be down with Dr. A for this amazing launch and what he shared. He talked about it was Health by Design in Spain, and he and corporate, one of our friends, Nick Johnson, had gone over there to actually go talk to the people in this blue zone that they're living, 12% of their community is living to 100 years old. It's amazing, you guys. And actually, that's where Dr. A had brought in the metabolic dysfunction and what is happening over there that they are going to that age. Because when he had talked in about one of the ladies, and Allison, you can remind me of her name, but she was super amazing and super sweet. But when she was born in 1923, the lifespan was only 40 years old. And she is now 102. And Dr. A had interviewed her and they talked about community. And community was one of the biggest aspect of their lifespan, right? Or their health span,
Absolutely.
more
Yes.
so. And when we were connecting with Dr. A and we had coaches, we had clients, we had guests. And what I got to see honestly is we brought our daughter and the legacy, and even in the younger generations, because parents and grandparents are getting metabolically healthier with our system, that they are noticing it. They want to be a part of it and they want to start sharing and helping their communities too. And that was the beautiful part of this whole event and the whole launch is you feel it when you're in community, even on these nights that we get to meet together on Mondays. And with lots of information, lots of things about metabolic health going out there and what you guys are all seeing. And you're a part of it because you said yes to an amazing health journey that, you know what, we talk about weight loss before, but now we're moving into quality weight loss because that matters. And that's what they were showing in this space with people that were living at this age. So we were down in Florida. I know that you guys were in Utah. And so I want to hear a little bit about your event and what you guys saw.
Amy, it was such a great opportunity to be with so many people who are really on the forefront of this movement about taking back control of our health in America. And I know you and I talked about this, earlier today, is that our society, unfortunately, has become so unhealthy and from so many different aspects, right? We talk about um, people being overwhelmed, right? Dr. A talks about emotional mismanagement. There's chronic fatigue and overwhelm, and not to mention the food that we have that has been engineered, right, and developed for us isn't healthy anymore, right? The options out there are meant to keep people buying more of this unhealthy food and trapped. And so in the last 100 years, we've done more damage to ourselves as humans than we have in the previous 1,000 years, but we now sit at the forefront. And that's what I was so excited about with this event, is seeing all these people have their aha moments and realize that, yes, this is about community. It is about legacy, and it's about making the world a better place. So I will share with you a little bit about my story and why I decided to become a coach and be one of the torchbearers. About a year ago, when we were talking internally, and what I mean is inside the four walls of Optavia, because I was an executive with the company for nearly 23 years. So I had been involved in working with our leadership and our coaches from the inside, in the background, working on different aspects of our business strategy. And I absolutely loved working with the coaches and working with our leaders because it's very rewarding in order to do that. But about a year ago, we started to talk about it. Amy, I know you're going to mention this, the magic of the program,
Yeah.
and why we were hearing consistently. I mean, guys, for 23 years, everybody I talked to was, I don't understand it. I just feel better. I just feel like myself. And so with our scientific and clinical affairs team, we really started digging into our clinical studies to better understand what was this. And as we started to learn more about metabolic health and what was happening at the cellular level
Mm.
to help people take control, something inside of me just came alive. And I started thinking about, wow, this is not just an evolution of where we're going. This is a revolution in health. And this is something that I really want to get behind. So I made the big bold move and the decision to step out from my corporate role. Full support of Nick Johnson, who you just mentioned, are the president of Medifast,
Yeah.
who was my boss at the time, and the other executives around me, to move from being an employee, being behind the scenes, transitioning into the field and joining my father, who is Dan Bell. He's been on before, and some of our coaches know him. He's our chief field architect, the one who wrote our compensation plan and defined the business model. So he'd always envisioned that one of his children would join him someday. And given where I sat, right, being so close to the corporation, so close to the model, our coaches, understanding that it just made sense. And I love that I'm able to help start fulfilling that dream of legacy that my dad had. And I also love it because my husband Ralph has also joined us. Um, we are now starting to leave that legacy for our own girls, not just modeling the healthy behaviors that we want to see, Amy, which I know that you do with your kids too, but also really talking to them. We talked about the next generation, about this is a business that can be transferred, and it's all about making the world a better place. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about you bringing your daughter on, because one of the things that what I love is this concept of a ripple effect. And this is what I talked about in Salt Lake, which was, it starts with one person, right? That one person is that drop, but there are ripples that happen as one person starts to get healthier. So many things change for them. The next ripple is their loved ones. And it might be, that they just feel better. Maybe they show up differently. Maybe they have more energy, right? Or they are making healthier choices in the home. And it goes out from that to community, right? Who are they influencing and encouraging by their decision? And then, of course, there's society, right? As we all start to embrace this. And then, of course, legacy. So with that, let's talk about you bringing your daughter Addison to the event and how special that must have been for you guys.
Yeah, and when you were talking, Allison, I was thinking even the legacy that your dad had started back with Dr. A so many years ago to get the world healthy, right? And he had that ripple effect has shown in you. And even with the alignment with corporate has been huge. And I think that was a big thing for us as we were moving in on Saturday. Like we had generational people there, new people, younger people, and older people. But older coaches, older clients, older guests, but they saw something, and so did the younger. And so, because my daughter's 16 years old, and that was something special that we got to see at the event is the community in how when, like you said, one person gets um, Nick talked about the coach. When a coach wins, that's the ripple effect. And that's what spreads out across generations and into, the next generations. And that's what we got to see this weekend and why we are so excited about Saturday and the launch of this metabolic dysfunction and how we can come in and start showing people how our program targets those things that starts the ripple effect. And that was the beautiful part that we got to see, because like you said before, people would be like, I don't know, is there magic in these fuelings or is there something there, and I think what we realized, no, there's not magic, there's actually a lot of science. And there's
Right.
things in there that corporate has been doing where it aligns with us. And someone said Pixie does, yeah. And so that's the fun part is, the our system has four components, right? And
Yes.
that's what we got to lean into is, again, when a coach wins, it kind of bridges those four components together for us. And with that bridge is you get, I actually relate it to a chair with four legs, is everyone comes onto our program with a coach
Right.
because most of the time that coach has had some kind of health change, metabolic flip, I
Mhm.
like to say now.
I
And
love that.
because what we know is that's the game changer. That's what this system is offering. And as that's happening, they get that coach to help guide them and support them, right? They get an amazing community.
Absolutely.
Every week, these calls are here, and they get the habits of health because as their body is changing rapidly, right? That the mind needs to come along the journey and catch up.
Yes, it
Because
does.
if nothing changes there, and that's what Dr. A started 20 some years ago, which is so powerful. He talks about that. And that is the health span, right? And that's what he said when he was at in Spain to interviewing these amazing people, and the name was Marina, which I was like,
Yes.
why did I forget that? Because that's such a beautiful name. Um, is their house span is a lot different than what we are seeing. And now we get to start to make an impact with that. We get to show people the bridge to create the house span, right? As they're growing older, they get to have the healthy house span to be able to do things in their community, to have social things. That's what they talked about, to be present and be social. Into that's how their house span has really been this long as they're doing it. And then we have our amazing science-based nutrition, right? And I say again, when a coach wins, everybody wins because they get to plug you into those four components, which you're sitting on a chair with four legs, and it makes it super easy that you can just lean into it and you start winning in that metabolic health and the metabolic reset um, as you keep moving through. And so with my daughter, what was so fun is she got to see the community and she got to see the connections. She got to see the ripple effect and the legacy that is being left because honestly, that's what we get to leave in other people as we move through life. And the house span is the legacy we leave in other people. And that's actually what the coach does as they're bridging all these other components together for you as we're doing that. And that part for Mike and I know was the most amazing part to just to see her and soak it in and to see the mission that we are all super excited about as we are leaving. And as we're doing this too, you guys, this is just the beginning. I think, Allison, that's what we talked about. These
Yes.
communities, and when Dr. A was in Spain with Nick too, they talked about that. Like I see you guys put the link on here. You could copy and paste that. And I really encourage you to go watch that because it's going to blow you away because it really is what our community is and what we are doing with the metabolic reset as you guys are moving into it too.
And it's
I
real
know.
it's a short video, right? It's only
Yeah.
23 minutes, so it's something that can be easily consumed, and it is very compelling. The interaction between Dr. A and Marina, the 102-year-old, is just absolutely precious. She's such a gem. And we were talking later about how he after they had been done filming, she would go with her daughter, who's in her 80s, and
Yes.
then her granddaughter, who's in
Yes.
her 60s, and then her great-granddaughter, and they would go for a family walk, and they would enjoy things together. And it just signifies to me the possibilities, right, of what we can do. But it does start with that decision, right, to get to make a change. And then Amy, you and I were chatting about we can't underscore the importance of a coach, because this this transformation, it's better to do it with someone. It's hard to go alone. So I know that you had a little bit of a you had a moment, a teachable moment with one of your clients, right?
Yes.
Understanding the difference between what the scale, the dumb scale, for those of you who watched Craig Blanchett's piece a few weeks ago, the difference between a dumb scale and a smart scale, and what those numbers really mean. So, would you share with us so that folks understand? Really, this is one of the things that a coach does as part of their guidance and supportive process.
Yeah, when we were, at the event and coming home, we had launched some clients last week, and they, with the metabolic scale and the metabolic reset, and as they were moving through, they've had some amazing results in a very short time. Their visceral fat was already coming down, their body fat was coming down, their skeletal muscle was going up, and it was in a very short amount of time. But then there were some things that happen where over exercise, because we also work on the 6 macro habits of health, right? And that
Yes,
was part of the healthy surroundings, was what Dr. A was talking about too in the documentary. And that is super important, right? And knowing that, I think too, that because there's so much information out there, right? You can go and create a whole program for yourself. But if there's so much information out there, why is the United States in a health crisis right now? Right? Because 9 out of 10 people have metabolic dysfunction. 90% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction, right? And so what we're finding is there's a lot of information out there, but somebody does need a coach to
yep,
help.
to cut through it, right, and
That's
and
right.
help them understand.
Yeah. So when a coach wins, they bridge the options and the opportunity for others to come in and get that support and that help. Right. And so
Yes,
that's what I saw. So in that process, they had a day that they weren't winning the client. They had a really bad day that they weren't winning, a very emotional day. And thankfully we got a message that's like, hey, can I talk to you for a moment? And I did. I answered the phone call, I had a conversation, and I explained what was actually happening at that process. And once that happened, the whole thing shifted for them,
that's
right?
great.
But if they were doing it alone, they would have stopped. And actually, what was funny, Allison, is I think the 9th of January is like called Quitter's Day. The 9th or the 10th is actually called Quitter's
Yeah,
Day,
that's right.
right? From people
Yes.
making their decisions with New Year's resolutions, and
Uh-huh.
they're already quitting by 9 or 10 days in. But
Right.
what we get to see with our system, because they have a community, they have a coach, they have the Habits of Health system along with easy grab portable science-based fuelings, right? With lots of protein, that they start winning in the areas that they have never won before. And metabolic dysfunction starts synchronizing and starts shifting and changing. And then they're like, oh my goodness, this is finally working for me. This is finally working. And so that's what we got to see. And so the coach is definitely the bridge.
Or
And
I
that's the
agree with you
part,
100%. Yeah,
and how is this important for people on this call tonight? Is they now have a system. They're starting their own health journey, right? Which
right?
amazing, you guys. That is the launch. That is the launch for other people to realize and come into our system, right? Because they watch you, they see you, they know you, they're surrounded in your community, they love you, and they're like, what's different? I need to know.
Yeah. Something has shifted for them, right?
Yeah.
And that that really was a beautiful thing about this weekend, Amy, is that it was the ripple effect in action, and we know it's going to continue on. Coaches who were on doing their own targeted metabolic reset were bringing their friends and their clients who
Yeah.
are interested and curious to learn more, because this community is a rich tapestry: coaches, clients, people who are coming on, and it's people from all different walks of life, all different professions, all different levels of education. You talked about different geographic locations, but one thing that stands out is that they really are passionate about improving their own health and then the health of those around them, and wanting to share that with others and to pass it along, because it's too good of a secret to keep to yourself, right? And I would be remiss if I didn't call out our corporate partners, right? These are some of my dear friends, who I've worked with a long time, but I will tell you all, they're invisible to most of our folks here, but they are some of the finest people in all of corporate America. They are absolutely dedicated to supporting us, and they're a vital part of this thriving community. And they're eager. They get up every day. It's almost a calling for them to want to help and support, because Amy, you said if a client wins, if a coach wins, that means good things for everyone. So, Amy, I know we're getting close to time, and I want to be respectful, but I just want to thank everyone who participated. For all of our folks on the call today, we have some incredible things coming in 2026, and our future is very, very bright. So thank you for having me, and I'm so glad I got to collaborate with you on this.
Oh, I'm so glad that you got to join us. And I just want to add, you were talking about corporate and what they do and how they connected throughout the United States too, for this launch on Saturday. And there are two ways to come and join us, right? And one of it was starting your own health journey. And right now, in as a new client, as a client, don't just say new, as a client, right? You have an option in your app for referring people to your coach, which is pretty awesome, because once you refer them and they sign up, they say yes, you get a $50 wellness credit, which is super cool. Goes right on your account, right?
Okay,
And that is
good.
the mission, right? How do we get the world healthy? We share and we go out and we let other people in our lives know with the community, right? And then there's also a way to come into our amazing coaching community, right? Because
That's right.
it also helps, Dr. A talks about that. The biggest mission of all is getting the world healthy, and it's launching, you guys. So this isn't only the one that happened on Saturday. If you're like, man, I missed it and I wasn't able to go, because it's for guests, it's for clients, it's for coaches, it's for whoever wants to come, right? And they're happening all throughout the United States. I know we're going to Iowa in a couple weeks. We have one coming to Michigan, which is huge. I saw a lot of people on there from Michigan that's coming up. We're going to Wisconsin, like every place there. And they're happening in people's living rooms. They're happening all over. So plug in, talk to your coach, and connect. And then next week, you guys are in for a treat of let's talk on muscle strength and flexibility, you guys. And a little tip, my husband's going to be launching that one, so it's going to be pretty amazing. We have a client that's going to be on there that's going to share their story. So, these calls are open and they're on podcast. So if you miss any of them, you can go and listen to them anytime. And you can share them with other people too, which is super awesome. So great to be here with you, Allison, and really kicking it off in the excitement of what we got to do this past weekend and moving it forward in the metabolic health, and partnering with others along the journey. So thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.